Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Witches. Happy Monday. I am having a giggle because I was delayed doing this morning because of a weather warning that necessitated taking care of some winter prep that's kind of been delayed, getting the firewood covered. And I was so excited because there were no technical difficulties starting the ramble today. And then about 10, 11 minutes in, my laptop died because I neglected to plug it in. So very minor technical issue this morning. So we are beginning again, take two on the Witches Ramble for Monday. What is today? Oh, December 12th today. So today, we are going to ramble about finding our true selves, discovering who we are and what we want from life. And this really is, one of the deepest, biggest roots um, of a healing journey is learning and discovering who we are. We get lost under labels from the time that we're born. We are, we're son or daughter. We are then or brother, sister. And then we become a student. And then we become a boyfriend or girlfriend or life partner, and then maybe we become a wife, a spouse, a husband. We become a mother. We become an employee. We are told who we are. We're given these labels. And your labels may include diagnoses over your life. Mine did. But we get lost under all of these labels. We get lost under the shoulds, the things that we should do, the things that we are supposed to do. And we get pushed through this life being told who we are. There are so many voices in our heads, so many opinions and stories and experiences that push us through our lives. And no one ever asks us, who are you? Who, we get this student label. You're such a good student. You should, you're so good at math. You should be an engineer. You are so good at English. You should be a teacher, right? There's these shoulds. We get buried and lost under the shoulds. And one of the things that I say all the time is we have to stop shoulding on ourselves. So we get lost under all of these things. We get lost under all of these labels, these shoulds, these supposed tos. We are a student. Um, and then at 18, after we're finished, we graduate high school, then we are supposed to make a decision on the path we are going to take, whether it's university or a different type of schooling. And we are supposed to decide at 18 what we're going to do with our lives, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. you know, Expecting an 18-year-old to know how and what they are going to do for the next 70 years of their life is asinine. It's ridiculous. But we're in this, this is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to go and to school. We're supposed to graduate. We're supposed to go to university. We're supposed to get the corporate job, or, we're supposed to go into this, mainstream um, work culture, right? So we become an employee. There's another label. We get our degree, which gives us another label, whether it's, teacher or engineer or um, information technology, whatever it is, this is another label that gets slapped onto us. And we get lost. Who we really are at our core gets lost, gets buried under all of these labels, all of these shoulds, all of these supposed tos. And, sometimes there's pressure to be the first in the family to go to university, or there's the pressure of, everyone in the family has gone to university, so this is what you are supposed to do, even if maybe that's not what's in your heart. So, we have all these labels, we have all these voices in our heads telling us who and what we are, when not only does no one else ask us the question, who are you? We don't ask ourselves, who am I? Who do I want to be? What do I want to do? And, this isn't necessarily the case for everyone. I'm, speaking in very broad generalities here, broad strokes. But for those of us who are, in the midst of a healing journey, it's often asking this question, who am I? What do I want? That gets us started on this healing journey. Or, it may be sometimes we're pushed into it through looking for an alternative to help our bodies heal, like I was. I did not accept the prognosis of my diagnosis. Um, to me, there had to be more, and there is, right? Chronic, I bought into, I identified with, I wore that chronic label like a banner for a very, very long time until I couldn't anymore. I knew there had to be more. And chronic absolutely means long term. I lived with chronic pain and fatigue for the first 40 years of my life. So very long term. However, chronic does not mean permanent, or it doesn't have to, right? It only means permanent if we believe that chronic means permanent. But so sometimes we're pushed into asking this question because of an illness. Sometimes it's a trauma. Sometimes it's a major grief, death experience. Sometimes it's a divorce. It was my divorce. It was my marriage ending that was really the catalyst to my asking this question, like, who am I and what do I want? What do I want out of my life? And who am I? When my marriage ended, I didn't even know what TV shows I liked to watch, right? Because what was on the TV, the remote was in his hand. So it was his choice. And things that I may have enjoyed watching were, if I wanted to watch something with my husband, it had to be something that he chose. He wasn't going to sit there and watch a sitcom or a chick flick, so to speak, with me. He would just get up and walk away. So if I wanted to have that time with him, we watched what he watched. And it was like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's good enough. It's good. But after my marriage ended, then I started asking myself this question, well, what do I like to watch? Do I really enjoy this? And so, some of the things that we used to watch together still stuck around. I love science fiction. But now I know that. I know that about myself because I asked the question. I allowed myself to explore. And this is how we get out from under the weight of all those labels and opinions and experiences that become the voices in our heads of others that aren't really who we are, is we start asking ourselves, we start exploring and allowing ourselves to explore, allowing ourselves, there's joy in this exploration. There's joy in figuring out who you are. There is joy in saying no to the things that are not. And you are allowed to say no to the things that are not. You are allowed to say no to the shoulds whenever they pop into your head. Like I say it a lot. Stop shooting on yourself. We have to stop shooting on ourselves. No more shooting on ourselves. So there is joy in that. And maybe not always for the people around you. This might have people around you getting their panties in a bunch. So what? That is their experience. Their emotions are not your responsibility. Allow yourself the joy of the exploration. Allow yourself to ask the question, am I really, in my heart, in my soul, in my body, do I really enjoy this? Or is this something that I've always done because I'm supposed to, because I should, because I've been told that I should, right? Maybe, I mean, we're coming into the holiday season and there is a whole lot of shoulds and supposed tos and have tos and have always dones around this time of year. And allowing yourself to ask the question, do I really enjoy spending 6 hours putting a meal together that gets eaten in 30 minutes and takes 2 hours to clean up from? Do I really enjoy that? If the answer is no, then you get to stop doing it. If the answer is, I love the time with my family, but I don't like doing all this work by myself, then how can I enjoy the time with my family, get to enjoy the time with my family, and get them to participate, right? So it's not just you slaving away in the kitchen while they're watching football or, whatever the case may be. This is just a holiday example. There's all kinds of things. Watching a show. Am I really enjoying this? Or would I rather be reading a book? Or would I rather be sitting outside? Or would I rather be having a conversation with a friend? Exploring and allowing yourself to explore, allowing yourself to ask the questions, and allowing yourself to say no, allowing yourself the joy of saying no to the things that do not actually truly resonate in your heart. But you have to, we have to allow ourselves the exploration. We have to stop and ask the questions and honor the answer, listening to our body, honoring this connection. We can say we want to find our true selves, but when we ask the questions and then ignore the answers, is that really what you want? If you want to find your true self, you need to ask yourself these questions. I had to ask myself these questions. I still have to ask myself these questions. I'm still learning to quiet the voices in my head. This is something that has come up over this last week, is that I have had so many voices in my head on my journey as an entrepreneur and as a healer attempting to start a business. And I have had so many voices in my head. You're supposed to do this. You should do that. You need to do this. You need to do that. This is the way. Da, 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 da. And what this led to was getting an idea, getting all fired up about it, and then fizzling out. It's like lighting a sparkler, right? I have been in this fire and fizzle cycle for a while. And so over this last week, I am choosing to quiet these voices. I am choosing to take a step back and finding my center again, because it was in my center that I chose to move into this little cottage at the end of the earth, even though everyone around me thought I was nuts, and were worried for me because I had been, chronically ill for a very long time. And this seemed like a really crazy thing to do. It's worked out pretty well, listening to my own inner voice, listening to my true self, even though at that time I was still buried under a lot of labels. I was still buried under a lot of stuff. And so, there are these moments where our true self comes up and speaks so clearly and so loudly that, we just follow it and we listen, and it works out really, really well. And then the labels, are still there, and the shoulds are still there, and the supposed tos are still there. But as we start to tap in and ask these questions, you can ask them in meditation if meditation is your thing. You can ask them in journaling. You can just ask it with anything. Do I really like this coffee? Would I rather tea instead? Asking yourself the question, does this feel good to me? Following that good, honoring the answer, right? Um, and not listening to all the external voices and all the external stories and all the labels and whatever. And, we have to, it's figuring out who we are without all these labels. I'm no longer a wife. Who am I as not a wife? Well, turns out I'm pretty friggin' cool as, just being me. And, who am I without this label of being, the chronically ill person? Who am I without this label of fatigue, without this label of pain, without this label of um, disabled, right? So when I moved up here, I didn't allow myself to think of myself as disabled. I allowed myself to explore the possibility of healing, right? So it's exploring. This is how we find our true selves, is we allow ourselves to explore. We allow ourselves to ask questions, and we allow ourselves to listen and honor and follow the answers of what feels good in our heart and soul and body. And, because there's no point in asking the question and then ignoring the answer, right? If you're going to ignore the answer, just don't ask the question. So this is something I have said for a very long time. It's like people will ask me a question and I say, are you sure you want the answer to that? Be sure you want the answer before you ask the question. Be ready to follow the answer. Be ready to say no. So if you ask yourself, does this bring me joy? Does this resonate with my spirit? Does this resonate with who I am? If the answer is no, you need to be prepared to follow that, because that's the point. That is how you find your true self, is asking the question and following the answers, which is why, even though as an entrepreneur, I am supposed to have offers, I am supposed to, oh my gosh, so many things that you're supposed to do. And I'm not feeling good about it. So I am pulling back and I am asking the questions. Well, what feels good? Doing these rambles feels good. I enjoy these rambles. I hope you enjoy these rambles. I hope that they give you some guidance. I hope they give you some encouragement. I hope that they, you know, resonate with you on some level so that you can take away something that is going to help you moving along your healing journey and help you on your way finding your true self, right? This is an exploration. It is a journey. It is a path. It is lifelong. We are always learning, growing, changing, discovering, exploring, and it's finding the joy in that. That is such an important part of it, which is why I say follow the good, follow what feels good. When you ask the question, follow what feels good. Make the cup of tea instead of the cup of coffee if that's what feels good, even though you've always had coffee. Try something different. Maybe you want to paint, but you have been told or have felt or have thought, I don't think I'll be any good at it. Well, have you tried it? The question is in your head for a reason. Try it. You can go to the dollar store, get painting stuff, give it a whirl. And if it doesn't stick, it doesn't stick. It's like a lot of the TV shows that, I would put them on and it'd be like, okay, you know what? No, I don't like this. and I've turned it off because you have the option. You can turn it off, right? And so some things will stick and some things won't. And that's okay. You get to explore, you get to figure it out, you get to peel the labels off one by one. You get to peel off whatever labels you're wearing. All of our labels, there may be similarities, but all of our labels are different. All of our experiences are different. Every one of us walks our own path. Many times there are a lot of parallels, and we're able to support and guide each other and help each other, which is beautiful, because even though it is a solitary journey on this, discovering ourselves is a solitary journey, it doesn't have to be an isolated one. Nothing about a healing journey needs to be isolated. It's all solitary because we are doing our work on ourselves. So, no one can do that for us, but people can do it with us, if that makes sense. So, finding our true selves, discovering who we are is, pulling off and unburying ourselves from underneath all of these labels, from underneath all of these stories that we have accumulated over a lifetime, digging out from under all those shoulds and supposed tos and all the things and that we have been told that we are, as opposed to knowing who we are. Um, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to start peeling those labels off. And there is joy in the journey and allowing yourself to have that joy. You're allowed to feel joyful. You're allowed to feel happy. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to heal. You are allowed to explore. You are allowed to discover. And that's it. You're allowed to do this. You know, doing following what feels good, asking yourself the questions and following the answers. Even if the people around you don't like it, they don't have to. They are not you. They are not on your journey. Not everybody is. Not everybody is on this healing journey. Not everybody is on this path of discovery. And that's okay. That's their experience. But just because it is not their experience doesn't mean it can't be your experience if that's what you want. And so asking yourself the questions and allowing yourself to honor the answers, allowing yourself to say no when the answer is no. If someone says, hey, do you want to go do this? And your gut says no, but you've always done it because you've always done it, allow yourself to say no. You're allowed. You're allowed. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to say yes to the things that make you say that bring you joy. You're allowed to say no to the things that don't. And you're allowed to do all of this. Um, and it'll change your life. Which is kind of the point, right? The reason we start asking this question is because our life doesn't feel fulfilled. Our life doesn't feel satisfying. Our life doesn't feel happy. It doesn't feel joyful. It doesn't feel delightful. It doesn't feel the way we want it to. And so we start, there's all kinds of triggers that start this journey, whether it's divorce, whether it's illness, whether it's, you know, so-called midlife crisis, when it's just like, fuck it, I've had enough. There's got to be more. And that more is discovering and finding our true self. So, it might be meditation, it might be journaling, it might be sitting down with a piece of paper and saying, what makes me happy? What makes me happy? And just allowing yourself to write it all out. There may be some things that come forward that surprise you, right? Um, doing these rambles makes me really freaking happy. And so here I am doing them, doing readings for people makes me really freaking happy. And it's such a joy to be able to give insights and encouragement and confirmations and just support someone in that way with this gift that I have of knowing and being able to channel messages. It is such a joy and I love it. And so in my pulling back, I'm still doing that. I'm still offering that because it lights me up and it is so supportive to the people who come to me for the readings. Um, and it's a beautiful thing to support someone, and it's a beautiful thing to receive support, right? So the readings are staying, doing the customized guided meditations. This is something new that popped up through an exploration, and it brings me so much joy. It brings me back into working with my crystals and stones. It brings me into um, doing my healing work in a slightly different way, and it's beautiful and I love it. And so that is staying with my pulling back and quieting all of these other voices that say you need to do this and you need to do that and you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that, and it's like, too many voices, too many voices. So allowing myself to step back and find my center and turn off all those voices and find that quiet voice of me again is, it gets easier to do, right? So um but we have to allow ourselves to do it. I've resisted doing this for a while. And because, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, you're supposed to be doing all these things. And all it's done is exhaust me and clouded my voice. My true self has gotten lost under all of these labels, all of these shoulds, all of these supposed tos, all of these have tos. Um, my own voice got buried. And so I can tell you that I understand that it's hard to find ourselves under all of this, especially when you're at the very beginning. I've been at this work for a long time, and it was still took a little bit of time to recognize that, myself was getting lost under all of this. But once you see it, then you can change it. And so again, it's asking the questions, going through meditation, journaling. Maybe it's a walk and a walking meditation, but following what feels good. And this stepping back feels so good to me. There is such a sense of ease. There is a sense of relief. Um, there is, and there's joy in that. There is joy in stepping back. There is joy in saying no to all of those voices. So, yeah, finding our true selves is a very, very big part of the journey. Asking the questions and honoring the answers, not resisting the answers. And we resist. We resist the answers. We resist saying no. And then we get stuck, as I've been for a while. But we get stuck. But then once we allow ourselves to honor the answers from our true selves when we ask these questions, then things start to shift and things start to change. And that is the change that we want, right? This is the change that we're asking for, is coming into our true selves, finding our true selves, and discovering who we are and what we want. Um, so, yeah. So that's my ramble for today. I hope this all makes sense. Um, Comments, questions are always welcome. You can visit me on Facebook, Instagram. The links are down below. My website is there, which actually, with all of these changes that are happening, it needs it needs a little bit of an overhaul. So that's something I'm going to pick away at over the next little while. Um, but yeah, if you enjoyed today's ramble, give me a like, give me a share, drop by and visit me on Facebook. I have my group there as well, the Witches Workshop. You are so welcome to come join me and our little community there. Would love to have you. And so, yeah, stay in touch. Comments, questions, all the things, always welcome. Let me know if this makes sense. Let me know how this feels for you. Um, and just go and explore. Allow yourself to explore. Allow yourself to follow what feels good. Allow yourself to honor the answers you get when you ask the question, is this me? Does this make me happy? Is this what I really want to do? Is this a should that I need to stop shitting on myself? Is this a supposed to that I really don't fucking want to do? Um, Yeah. Ask yourself the questions. Allow yourself to explore. Allow yourself the joy in the exploration. Allow yourself to honor and follow the answers that you get, and just have joy in the journey. Have joy in the exploration. And if it stirs up shit in other people, well, that's their experience, and it's not your responsibility. You are your responsibility. Finding you is your responsibility, and that's it. So I hope you have a beautiful rest of Monday. I am off to do well, throw some more wood in the fire and trying to stay warm today, and off to do some more work. So again, I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful Monday. I hope this ramble makes sense. I actually rambled a little bit longer than I intended to, got off on a little bit of a tangent there. So I hope this all makes sense. And again, questions, comments are always welcome. Likes and shares are always welcome. Visit me on Facebook. The links are in the description below. And have a beautiful rest of your day. Sending you lots of love.